one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Members of council, you will have in your packet the minutes from our April 1st, 2004 meeting. Once you've had a moment to review, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander,
Second.
second by Councilman Haygood. For the record, I have read over them. They appear to be accurate to me as well. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And the minutes stand approved unanimously. All right, public comment. Rame, I see we got at least one scribbling just as quickly as she can go. Looks like we got three. Who's first, Rame?
Aaron Winter.
Can we all three go together?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Are all y'all talking about the same topic?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. If y'all will just, if you don't mind, come up here to the podium, so our folks online, and make sure that that microphone.
It's on. I turned it
Okay.
on.
That way folks online can hear us too, or hear y'all rather.
Hello. We are from Palmetto Middle School. That's who we represent. But as a whole, we represent the town of Williamston, the community, where we all have grown up or affiliated with in one way or another. Our concerns, things that are going on in the park. I saw where it was addressed. I don't do Facebook, but someone sent it to me. But it's much deeper, I think, than what you all know. And because of the aspect of what I do and my job, they will tell me things that they will not tell anybody else. Sometimes, the majority of the time, it's my duty to report it to admin because we work so closely together. And sometimes it's just a trust thing. But with that being said, my biggest concern is, as you had, I saw whoever sent me the Facebook post from you, Mayor Burgess, that the supervision. With that being said, as my husband being a cop in U.S. Marshal now for over 30-something years in Greenville, and I realized this is Williamston, the same thing was going on in Greenville. And they came up with a thing that at 17 years old, if you don't have anyone there with you, you will be escorted. See, Williamston is a little bit too close to bring them here. You have to make it inconvenient to Anderson County, because with all these guns and things that these kids are telling me about, it has become a disruption in our community to the classroom, and it's scaring some kids. Everybody does not live like that.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are products of their environment. And I tell them often that each generation like that leads to another generation like that. But with that being said, it is up to us as a community to do something about it. And I won't tell you what Mr. Winter said to me. I'll let him tell it as best how it is going to affect us in the long run.
Thank you for being here, by the way, and thank you for those words. Mr. Winter?
Yeah, and I'm just going to read straight off of this because I took time to put in these thoughts, and I'll mess it up if I just try to shoot from the hip here. So I'm here to voice this same growing concern in our community as a teacher at Palmetto, as a father of three, with my son being here tonight, and a resident here in Williamston. In recent months, some of our community school-age kids have increasingly engaged in violence and vandalism inside of our park, which has at best created an unwelcoming atmosphere at Mineral Springs. And these actions continue to escalate. We have spent a lot of hard work, and I say we, as in you, have spent a lot of hard work dedicated to making our park a centerpiece of our community, and I'm afraid that would be lost in some of these actions. And I agree these statements, by the statements posted on social media by our mayor, that our parents need to step up and be vigilant about monitoring their children. On more than one occasion, I picked up the phone and let parents know, hey, your kid's heading to the park. You might want to head them off because I hear something bad is going to happen. The fact of the matter is the vast majority of our teens at the park that commit these actions will continue to remain unsupervised, and their parents who are vigilant, the ones that are vigilant, may keep their kids away from the park entirely, which would be an unintended consequence. We must take action to address these issues and ensure the safety and well-being of everyone who uses the park. So I have some ideas in addition to what Mr. Bruce has and to some best practices that I have seen in other communities that have faced similar challenges. The first she's already spoken to, having some type of age restriction into the park where you have to be accompanied by an adult, and if not, then your child is handed back as your responsibility or some other type of consequence there, and also posting it where everyone in the park can see it and respond to it, either temporarily or permanently. Hey, kids of this age need supervision. Another strategy, which I know has already been put into place, is increasing the patrols that are happening in the park and monitoring around the park. I know we have cameras that are catching some of these activities, but in addition to that, as we think about our growing community, having some type of emergency response. I know that I came through the park last Thursday, and I tried to make a phone call to my police department. Busy signal is what I got. So I came, I mean, it's right across the street. It's not a big deal or an issue. But if we had some type of, what they have on a lot of campuses is a blue light or some other type of signal or emergency hotlines for issues, not only criminal ones, but medical ones, as we try to get more physical activity inside of our park too. And additionally, deepen the dialogue between our town, our schools, our church youth groups, and so on and so forth, and find ways to have more positive recreational opportunities and educational programs targeted at this age group. For example, as found in Ms. Bruce's mentoring program. It's not enough to further curse the darkness without providing some more light for our community. And I speak on behalf of Palmetto teachers when I say we are ready to take action to promote a more responsible community. I think it's crucial that we address these issues proactively and collaboratively. I'm worried that continuing to address them in reactive forms will put our kids at more risk, and these spaces that should be inviting and welcoming and safe, including our schools, will not be anymore. And moreover, I'm worried about a community that I live in and the reputation that is now being mixed with others and creating any type of discouragement towards economic growth here, which I hope we are aspiring to do as well. So thank you for my opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you.
I'm Abby McReynolds. I'm an 8th grade science teacher at Palmetto Middle as well. I work right alongside these people, these wonderful people. I just second and third everything that they're saying. Safety is a huge concern, and being proactive as opposed to reactive. We see, and hear of things in the park that, once again, like Ms. Bruce said, that not everyone necessarily sees. We have a lot of places in our community like Envision Williamston that are trying to do all these things in the park. We have Pig in the Park, we have Cinco de Mayo, we're having all these things that I think builds a very good, positive look, but then on other days we have that negativity, the darkness coming in, and there's fear in our kids, and that's not something we want seen and what we want to be known for, right? Like, we want that park to be a place for kids who don't have and who can go be physically active and who can go and spend time there to be positive. So I just think, really, like Mr. Winter really said, finding ways to do recreational positivity and guide. They don't know any better. They don't necessarily have parents teaching them right from wrong. So how can we work we have plenty of churches in our community, plenty of programs, the mentoring program, things like that. How can we build around that to create positivity and good opportunity for kids to do better? So, thank you.
Sure. This is a subject I'm going to talk on a little bit too. So
Okay.
there's some things behind the scenes that's working that I want our community and you guys aware of as well.
I don't know if Mr. Winter touched on this or not, but I think he did. I was listening so hard. But I think that eventually, he and I were talking in the hall the other day, economically, guess what's going to happen if we keep getting this name? Because I hear it already from teachers in Greenville County. It's going to affect us economically. People are not going to move here because, when we just bought our house, my husband and I, we looked on there for the crime stats. I would like to think everybody does that. And if it's too much, I don't care if he's been a policeman since he was born. We're not going in that community. And that's what's going to happen here. We had something come up the other day, And I was going to tell Mr. Winter, because I know he's going to go on the admin side, Mr. McReynolds, and we all were affected by it because they wanted to talk about it. Now, this has taken time out from the learning environment and told us exactly what happened. When there becomes a fear of guns, and it is, you know, there was a bunch that were stolen around here. They have yet to be recovered, as I understand. So they're in somebody's hand. And when I say somebody, I mean somebody's hand. And we don't know who. And this is putting fear into the kids. And again, I don't want it to come into our community as it already is. And I don't want it to come into the schools, because that's what's next. It's from the homes to the community to the schools. And we thank you all for listening to us so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate y'all coming and sharing your concerns. I do want to address, council, if y'all don't mind, publicly addressing where I was coming from. Over the last 30 days, well, matter of fact, let me, if you don't mind, may I read the post that I made? As your mayor, I need to address a pressing concern that has been brought to my attention. Our town has been experiencing an alarming rise in incidents involving unsupervised children causing disturbances, vandalizing property, and engaging in illicit activities. Law enforcement has been diligently handling these situations, but we cannot ignore the fact that many of these issues stem from children being left unattended. It is crucial for parents to know where their kids are and what they're doing, especially during their free time. Recently, there was a particularly concerning incident where law enforcement had to intervene and remove a firearm from one of these unsupervised children. This is simply unacceptable and highlights the urgent need for parental supervision. Whether it's at local restaurants, Mineral Spring Park, or any other location throughout town, we need parents to step up and take responsibility for their children's actions. We cannot allow this behavior to continue unchecked. So please, I urge all parents in Williamston to prioritize supervision of their children, know their whereabouts, guide them away from engaging in destructive behavior. Let's work together to ensure the safety and well-being of our community. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Signed, myself. We had several incidents that were minor incidents that took place that in Mineral Spring Park that kind of gave me a little bit of concern. The police department council has authorized our police department to place anyone who's causing a disturbance or breaking a law or something like that on trespass notice from our parks. So several weeks ago, we had an incident where there were some juveniles. We got a call about a disturbance. The police department went out there. One of them had a stolen firearm from Seneca. So that very same day, I happened to be out in Mineral Spring Park, and there was another minor disturbance. It was more kids talking about fighting, that type thing, and getting ready to go fight somewhere. And a parent called. I happened to respond out there, and it turned out there were kids from Greenville and Easley. They weren't even from here, and this was like 3:30 in the afternoon. I don't know how they got from school in Easley to Mineral Spring Park. Once the police department called their parents, come to find out the parents had picked them up from school. They said, we want to go to Williamston Park, and they just drop them off and leave them. I mean, we're talking 12, 13-year-old kids. To me, that's asinine, but I guess to some parents, that's acceptable. My point is that is absolutely not acceptable. Not in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I looked at doing the possibility, and I think council even discussed the possibility of a curfew or an age restriction in the park. While if it comes to that, I would absolutely be in support of it. I've got a few issues, and I think there's some legal issues in play there as well. In other words, if you've got a child, and a 15-year-old is a child, they can drive a 5,000-pound automobile, but they're still a child. But state statute looks at it and says, well, they can drive a car. How can we as a body tell them they cannot be in the park unaccompanied by an adult when the state of South Carolina says they can get up I-85 and do 80 miles an hour up the interstate? There's some kind of legal things at play that we have to work through. And again, I'm not opposed to entertaining that at some point in time, but this particular day that I made this post, there was a disturbance at McDonald's directly after school, and it wasn't just high school kids. It was actually a mixture of high school and middle school kids. All were Palmetto students. All of them live in the Tri-City area. They had went to McDonald's, caused a disturbance there. It wasn't the first time, and the manager just had enough and said, we want to put on trespass notice. So the police department had to put those 14 kids on trespass notice. They immediately left from there, went to Mineral Spring Park and caused a disturbance, at which time we had to put 14 juveniles on trespass notice. Now, for those of you who don't know and understand what trespass notice is in our ordinance, they are prohibited from going to any of the public parks in Williamston in the corporate limits from now to the day they die, literally forever, unless they come before council, that is this body in a meeting like this, and explain to us why they should be removed from that trespass notice. And again, the last thing we'll do is punish somebody where they can never come back to the parks for the rest of their life. But there has to be some type of consequence for that type of behavior. So know this, the ones that are causing problems, they're not allowed to come back. And if they continue to cause problems, if they do come back, they immediately refer to the Department of Juvenile Justice. The other thing that we've done is when there's an incident like that, we don't just turn them loose. We stay there with them and force their parents to come get off work early or whatever they got to do to come deal with them. Our police department is not a babysitting service. That's not what we do. And I think that, some kids are a little bit more able to handle responsibility more so than others. For example, if I were to have my girls, which y'all probably know from Palmetto, if they were to ask me, hey, can we go out to the park by ourselves, the answer to that would be absolutely not. And it's not because I'm worried about it's all the other things that go along with it. It's the peer pressure, it's all the different things that go along with that. We've seen everything from sexual activity to drug use to obviously firearms. That is scary, and that causes me great, great concern. And I'm telling you what we're doing in the background. In addition to, one of the other things that I don't want to do is cast our students in a negative light, because this is a very small section of our students and community that is causing problems. But I also want to listen to them. You mentioned they will sometimes talk to you guys as teachers because you're trusted. If you see me out in Mineral Spring Park, chances are I'm usually talking with the kids, shooting hoops with them, interacting with them. In addition to, I've also met with Palmetto High School, the administration there, and I'm actually meeting with them on a regular basis. They handpick kids. They say, look, I don't want the elite students. I don't want the bottom of the class. I want a mixture of all demographics, all races, anything you got. Let them come sit and talk to me. What can we do as a community to do two things? Number one, I want to keep them here. Our children are our greatest assets. And one of the most difficult things I ever had to do was listen to my son tell me, I'm leaving Williamston, I'm never coming back. There's nothing there for me. I mean, you and Mom, there's nothing else. I'm moving to Charleston as soon as I graduate high school, or I'm moving to Greenville. His choice was Charleston until he figured out how much it cost to live in Charleston. And so he settled on Williamston, and he's happy here now, but that's heartbreaking as a parent to hear your child say that there's nothing here for them. So my job as the mayor of this great city is to talk to our young people, find out what are we lacking, what do we need to do to keep and retain our young men and women of our community, because let's face it, somebody's got to work here, somebody's got to sit in this chair, in these chairs at some point in time. Who is that going to be, and who do we want? We want to be able to keep the best of the best here, and make sure we keep and retain them. And if there is a need, we need to be able to address that need. So I've spent, it was a little over an hour. They have some what they call flex time at the high school. And so that's my objective going forward, is to continue to meet with them, find out what their needs are. And if we can head off, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a school counselor. I don't know anything about it, but I do understand and know right from wrong. And I can hopefully make a positive influence on the lives of these children so that they don't start hanging out with the wrong group. And ultimately that's what ends up happening. They choose their friends. Most parents these days, I feel bad for parents. They're working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. And there's some equitable. I know that's a buzzword now, but it's true that there's some equitable issues. And my wife, she's a lifelong educator. One of the things that we talked about was equity, not only in education but also equity just in general. What does that mean? She explained it best to me by saying, Rocky, our children get up every morning, they have a hot meal, they have a mother who takes them to school, drops them off, kisses them, and gives them a hug, tells them they love them. They pick them up every day at 3:30. They spend time with them. They help them with their homework. They make sure they have a hot lunch and a hot meal that evening. All children don't have that. They just don't. And so while I can't meet every need as mayor of this city, and I cannot make sure that there's equitable outcomes in every situation, what I can do is be a someone who can listen and who can help when those means are available to me to be able to help, or at least direct them in the right direction and to be a positive influence on them. So that's one thing, one of many things that we're working on. The other thing is to try to do things like what you're talking about. The pickleball courts have been great. Basketball courts, both of them stay busy. It keeps them engaged. And you see all demographics, all age groups playing pickleball and basketball. It's wonderful for them to see that interaction happening. But it's also scary, too, to drive through the park and see the park full of people and know that one individual could likely have a firearm out there with the intent to cause harm to somebody else. But that's in any community you go to. That's in any public park. So those are things we're working. I'm sure there's other things that I've missed, but I want to talk to you from my heart and where I'm coming from, and I can see those concerns. I share those same concerns, and I think this body does as well. I'll open the floor up for any other questions. We normally don't, during public comment, we don't engage back, but I think this is one of those rare occasions where if there's ideas, we need to be talking about it, we need to be discussing it, and we need to develop a plan of action to head it off as much as we possibly can. So I open the floor up to any member of council.
I just have a question. Do y'all know of any specific areas in the park that these children tend to congregate more often? Like, is it on the backside, like where the tank is? Is it up where the overgrowth is, near the railroad track? Like, are there specific areas? Okay.
I can tell you, from my perspective, and seeing it, it depends on what they're up to. If they're vaping or using illicit substance, it's back in Veterans Park, back on the backside where nobody sees them. If they're looking to cause a fight or something like that, it's going to be usually right by the long shelter. And I maybe stereotypical, but I'm just saying that's typically the locations that I see where those things are happening. If they're engaging in sexual activity, it's back behind in Veterans Park where you don't want to be seen.
And I think also, like you addressed, it's occurring, like, for example, McDonald's, burger.
Yeah,
Those have been issues that then get, once again, they get kicked out of McDonald's where they go.
yeah.
You know,
So-
so,
Let me also add too, those 50 some odd kids that I had in the classroom, there to myself, I think I was a teacher from the school there. Every one of them had my personal cell phone number. Nobody can say that I'm not accessible. You can say that I'm a lot of things, and I am a lot of things. But inaccessible is not one of those things. I'm available for them. I'm here to talk to them. They've got my email address, my cell phone, all that good stuff. Yeah, I even got hip. I got a little QR code I was able to hold up, and they will take their phone and scan mine and import my contact information right there. Any other member of council?
Mayor, briefly, I just want to let everybody know, and people watching at home, that I believe I can speak for everybody on council that public safety is our paramount concern. And we've done a lot of things, and previous councils have done things over the past decade or more to try to encourage our renovation of our parks, try to encourage walkable communities, expand our trails. We're expanding them even still now. Getting people out walking, getting people out in the community has been a big thing. And but then, of course, when you have that out and you have public trails, public park, public spaces, then also there's bad actors, both adult and juvenile, that are coming into them as well. So what we as a council, I know we have been committed to in the past, and I think we will in this budget session as well, is to continue to try to give our police department the resources it needs as far as money, and it's for equipment, for salary is a big thing, and that's something that was a bigger discussion. We can, we're on, it's hard, all the agencies are competing for good police officers, so it's easy for somebody who a good officer, if they can go and make a lot more money somewhere else, then who would blame them for doing that? and those types of things. So we're going to continue for that because I think that there are a lot of actions that we can take, but having our local, robust, patrolling, proactive community police department that we have, and for them to continue to be able to do their work is a big thing. Of course, the police can't be their parents, like the mayor said. Police can't be the babysitters, but for getting these bad actors and just their presence being known, and patrolling, knowing if I know that a police officer may come through, then I may be less likely to do something. So we're going to continue to do that, continue to try to give all of our police the resources that it needs, and to focus on public safety. So thank you all for being here.
Can I make two more very brief comments? Someone mentioned they called the police department, they got a busy, do you know what the number of that was? How did you get it?
It's in my cell phone history.
Did you Google it? How did you get it? Okay. This is a major problem that we've had for a long time. Williamston Police Department used to have its own dispatch, and we were almost like a little isolated police department that didn't talk to other police departments, and nobody knew what was going on, situational awareness. Pelzer, West Pelzer, Williamston, Anderson County. The county has taken over dispatch for all municipalities, including all small towns, including Williamston. So Google still has our non-emergent number as 847-7425. That number has not been in service for years, and we've tried desperately to get Google to change that to 260-4444. It's the exact same number that you would call for the sheriff's office or anybody else. The sheriff's office dispatch as far as it's central dispatch. All right, so that's a good number to write down and put in your phone. 864-260-4444. And David, me with the Journal, if you could help us spread that message, that would be tremendously helpful.
And that's the non-emergency
That's the
line.
non-emergency. In other words, but I encourage you, use 911 too. If there's something that comes up, 911 will always get you to where you need to go. I'm hesitant to type the 911 line for things like just a suspicious person or something like that. But if that's all you got, I'd rather be safe than sorry, just use the 911. But if you got that number, 864-260-4444, plug that into your phone. That will handle police, EMS, fire. It handles all dispatch services for the county as a whole. So it doesn't matter if you're in Williamston or if you're in Belton or if you're in West Pelzer. That number will get you where you need to go. Okay? And then the other thing, you were talking about the, we call them emergency phone systems, where basically you've got a camera and a blue light on top. You see them at hospitals, at some of your larger parks and jurisdictions that have a whole bunch of money. The town has built a robust network. When I say network, I'm talking about voice and data network throughout Mineral Spring Park, Brookdale Park, other places throughout the town. So it wouldn't be that difficult to put in one of those call boxes like what you're talking about. And I've already been thinking about and making arrangements and plans to be able to do that along our trail system periodically. But those things are about $40,000 a piece. That's just the equipment. That's not the installation or putting fiber in the ground, and that's not the monthly fee associated with it. Most everybody has a cell phone if we just make sure they know how to use that. I'm not ruling that out of the question. If council decides that, hey, that's something that's really important to them, and that's the best use of the funds. But it's just like the school district. I talked to Robbie Beneker, several years ago. My primary business is dealing with safety and security in schools. That's what I do for a living. And particularly after the Townville shooting, we had a roundtable with a lot of superintendents, and I said, look, I understand the difficulty you guys are in as superintendents. You're weighing how much money you have to work with, and it's a limited budget, with what you can do for safety and security. And one doesn't outweigh the other. But I told those superintendents, I said, I could spend every dime that you have to educate your kids in your school district and cannot 100% guarantee. So you have to do a balancing act of what is the best use of those funds to mitigate as much as you possibly can those areas that could be potential problem areas. So we're faced with very similar things here as a body, is trying to figure out, with that limited use of funds, how do we best use that to mitigate those risks. One of the things that we spent considerable resources on, and I say not a lot of money, because I did the work myself, was putting in cameras all throughout the parks. We've been able to, when we have vandalism, stuff like that, matter of fact, we just identified 3 just today, I think it was, that were causing some damage up around the amphitheater. We as a body and our town employees work really, really hard to try to make a nice environment and a place where it's welcoming and, people can come. But the fact of the matter is, people are just going to come and destroy the property. They're going to be asked to leave and they won't be able to come back. It's just that simple. And again, I encourage parents to please know where your children are. And every parent that drops their child off and says, call me at dark and I'll be back to pick you, I wouldn't say every parent is a terrible parent. They just don't know any better. They think it's a public park. What could go wrong in a public park? They don't realize the climate that we live in today. And some of the, my parents would literally say, close the door on me and say, don't come back till dark, and we would go walk the Mill Hill, and every parent that saw us walking, if we were getting into something, they'd just soon beat our hind end and then send us home, call our mom and daddy, and we'd get it again. But it was not unheard of for us to spend all day at the community pool or somewhere like that. You just can't do that these days. There's just way too much going on. So I encourage parents to be involved in their kids' lives. Check their belongings. I mean, you'd be amazed at what your kids get into. You have no idea. And the biggest thing is just being involved in their kids' life. And I thank y'all for coming today. I know I've taken up way too much time, but it's an important topic that I think it's good that we're able to share what we're doing and what the concerns are of the community to try to address it. Councilman Haygood, you got anything? Councilman Alexander?
My only suggestion would be with that number, because you're right, there is a lot of confusion about who to call, and because I've seen that post on Facebook a lot of times where I called the number and it was disconnected.
Yep.
Maybe if we could put signs up in the park that would, need police, call this number if it's not an emergency. That way, if something does happen down there and people would know, hey, there's that sign over there with that phone number on there, let me go call,
Okay.
And we could start social media, we could start glancing at it.
Yeah, I think
Once
that's
a week or something, and just, did you know, add it to your contacts and stuff like that.
And Gracie's handling our social media too, so she'd be really good at doing that as well. Maybe get the police department shared. We've put it out multiple times, but keeping that forefront, at least till we can get Google to change. And if anyone in our audience or watching online knows of a way to get Google to update that would be really, really helpful too. Because everybody Googles everything these days. If you want to know the number to the journal, the first thing you do is type in the journal and Google it.
I just
That's
wonder
just
if
the way it
that
works.
line could be forwarded to the new number.
We don't own that line. It's just we may could pay a monthly fee and get that line back. I don't know.
So we collect pay phones from around town and put them at the park.
We got one.
Okay, thank y'all very much for the public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, committee, do we have any presentations? No presentations. Committee reports. Roberta.
I'll make it quick. Ribbon cutting for Main Street Liquor was this past Thursday. It was a success. We have another ribbon cutting for another liquor store this coming Thursday. That's May the 9th. That's MD Liquor, and that's at the Marathon. Mayor, could you make a note of that? That's at the Marathon this time.
I'll try to find the right liquor store this time.
The Mentors Lunch at the middle school is Monday, May the 20th. I don't know if y'all have received an invitation and responded. Camping Creekside is Friday, May the 24th, and Saturday, May the 25th. We're praying for no rain for that. We've got a lot of good food sponsors and snack sponsors, and there will be an outdoor movie, and that will be Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs at the amphitheater that night. And we would like to ask the mayor and council if we can have an end of summer bash. We're on the books for Saturday, July 27th. That'll be the last weekend before school starts back. And we are going to have a band, probably Encore. That's who a local Chris Carr. That's who he's with now, and he was with them originally. So we're going to try to get them. I've got to get my approval from the board to hire them, but I'm sure I've got that. So if it's okay with y'all, we haven't leased the park for that date yet. That was one that we just added, but we will have enough funding from the concert on May the 17th at Pick in the Park, and that was the other thing I didn't mention. Pick in the Park, obviously, concert in the park is the 17th, and Pick in the Park is the 17th, 18th of this month. And we've got the Eric Scott Band that will be performing at the concert.
Do you know if there's any events already scheduled for that day in the park?
The 27th, there is not, no, sir. None that were on the calendar that when we got put on there.
Is there any member opposed to them having their event on the 27th? So mote it be.
Okay, that's going to be 6 to 9, and we'll have a concert. We're going to do some, set up some volleyballs and have some beach balls and all kind of just end of summer, maybe some kind of water something, maybe even get Huff to bring the fire truck and escort the kids off or something, but something to blast them real hard. But something for them, because then the following week they start school back, beginning on.
They need to lease it from us, correct?
We've done a lease on, for every event so far, we've done the lease, so I can do another check
Okay.
and get it to the office if,
Yeah.
that's good.
All right.
And the only other thing was Happy Mother's Day to the mothers, and if you've got a mother at your house, make sure to remember her for Mother's Day,
Yep, don't forget about Picking the Park too. When is that?
17th and 18th.
17th and 18th.
Sorry, I was writing other notes.
The 17th is the concert, that's the Eric Scott Band, and then the 18th, 17th, 18th is Pig in the Park.
Perfect.
So that's everything.
Thank you. Kenny, thank you for joining us today. You want to give us a very quick update on what you guys have going on? Please. For those of you who don't remember, Kenny's part of the Williamston, Pelzer, Tri-City area dry goods giveaway that's currently occupying the Boyd Building.
Yes, what we do is we give away the cleaning supplies and sanitizing supplies. We had one last month. We gave away to 407 families. So we're having another one this Saturday. And we had that from 9 to 12. We say 9 to 12, but at 5:30 this car is lined up around Moorings Drive already. So we usually start around 8 o'clock just to make sure there's no traffic coming through and we don't back up the traffic out there. We have plenty of people out there making sure the traffic's not out on Highway 20. So we keep them flowing. Like I say, our next one will be Saturday, this Saturday coming. And we still plan on having it every month as long as we can stay in the building. We love it where it is, everything's safe there. And it's just a great place for us to have our ministry there and our giveaway.
Let me also add too that I've talked with Kenny. If y'all know of a need, somebody particularly shut in, I had a situation like that recently with an elderly lady on Mill Village that could not get out. Obviously, we want to encourage people to get out, participate in that way during normal hours when they do that. But if you know somebody and you can arrange with me or Kevin or somebody like that that's got a key,
Yep.
if you know of somebody that you can get, Kenny's given me permission to go snatch whatever we need and get it out to those.
Yeah, whatever supplies you need for the needy families.
We're not gonna take a whole pallet, but if they need a,
You know, if you need
box of
it,
something.
if you need it to supply people, take what you need. We get plenty of it. So we usually get anywhere between 44 and 52 pallets a month.
Yep.
And we usually get rid of about 90% of it each month.
Good deal. We thank you for the service you provide to the community.
All right, thank you
Thank you.
for allowing us to be here.
Let me
No
ask
problem.
a quick question. How do you stand with your volunteers? Do you have enough people to help you?
We've been lucky enough to have right around 20 to 25 volunteers every Saturday that we have the giveaway. These people just love coming out to bless these people. They love to see the cars coming in, the smiling faces on the people when they get their stuff. And we've gone as far now as my wife has. She orders crosses, and each car gets a cross. Then this month here, she got these little wristbands, says Jesus loves you. So we give them away something every giveaway. We give them something different. We try to. And like I said, we've got the volunteers. They just keep coming. I get emails almost every day,
Good deal.
wanting to know if we need any more help and stuff like that. And like this past month here, we've gotten pallets, like one pallet of this, one pallet of that, where we usually try to give them a case of stuff, each family. But with only getting one pallet, we're having to bag stuff up now and put them in one piece in one bag. Like we get in, I think there's 10 or 11 pieces in the bag that we give here. Plus they're still gonna get 8 other cases of stuff. So they get quite a bit of stuff. They get right around $300 worth of stuff each vehicle. Each trailer is around $230,000 worth of supplies. You know, we've been lucky enough now to getting money coming in, volunteers just donating some money to us to supply the trucking, because we have to pay for the trucking. It was $1,700, they just went up to $500 on us, so it's $2,200 a month now for our trucking. But we've been lucky. There's some businesses around here that call me up and say, hey, do you need a little bit of money to help get this truck or the next month's truck? So we're staying 1 month ahead of time with every truck right now so far. It's been beautiful over here.
These guys have it down to a science too, when getting folks through the line, and
Yeah, we've
they
got
move them
Got
very
it pretty
quickly.
well organized.
Yeah, I've actually stood from across the street and watched, you know, how you guys strategically move people in and out. And it's well organized.
Thank you. We got some good people.
Kenny, thank you very much for all you
Thank
do
you.
for the Tri-City area.
God bless you.
All right, old business, we have second reading on a 2024 election ordinance. If you remember, there was some questions last month at first reading regarding petitions and the term petition in there. That has since been removed. And I believe that this final reading on second reading will actually be the one that we used this past election, which has no petition words in it. And I'll read it in entirety, just so that we make sure that we do not have anything missed on it, because again, this is second and final reading. It's very important we get this correct when we pass it this evening. Whereas it's the duty of Town Council of the Town of Williamston to establish fair and orderly municipal elections, whereas pursuant to 5-15-10 of the South Carolina Code of Laws, the Town Council of the Town of Williamston desires to order and establish regulations for the 2024 municipal election. Now therefore it be ordained, an election for the offices of Mayor and Town Councilman Ward 3 and Town Councilman Ward 4 is hereby ordered to be held on the 5th day of November, 2024. Polls shall open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m. This election shall be nonpartisan. Candidates for the office of mayor shall be registered of the town of Williamston. Candidates for the office of town councilman shall be registered of the wards which they seek to represent. Each candidate shall qualify by paying an entrance fee to the town clerk. The entrance fee of the mayor shall be $100. The entrance fee for the town council shall be $50. The precincts involved in the election will be the portions of the Williamston precinct, the Williamston Mill precinct, and the Cedar Grove precinct inside the municipal limits of the town of Williamston. The polling places are as follows. Williamston Mill precinct will be at Calvary Baptist Church. Williamston precinct will be at Palmetto Middle School, and Cedar Grove precinct will also be at Calvary Baptist Church. Candidates for the office of mayor or town councilman shall register with the Municipal Election Commission at the Municipal Center, 12 West Main Street, Williamston, South Carolina. Books will be open for filing at 12 p.m. high noon on August the 1st, 2024.
You need to get rid of the zero there.
Yep. See a scrivener's error, right? It should be 2024. One too many zeros, and remain open during regular business hours until 12 p.m. on August the 15th, 2024. Candidates for the office of mayor shall register by filing a statement of candidacy and the payment of the above referenced entrance fee no later than 12 p.m. on August 15th, 2024. Candidates for the office of town councilman shall register by filing of a statement of candidacy and the payment of the above referenced entrance fee no later than 12 p.m. on August 15th, 2024, which is a point in time at least 75 days before the election. The Municipal Election Commission shall examine every statement of candidacy filed and determine its validity as provided by law at least 60 days prior to the date of the election, and when so validated, the commission shall place the name of each candidate upon the ballot. If no candidate for mayor obtains a majority of the votes cast for the office of mayor, a runoff election shall be held on November 19th, 2024, between the two candidates receiving the highest number of votes for mayor in the election which was held on November 5th, 2024. If no candidate for the town of Williamston Ward 3 obtains a majority of the votes cast for the office of town councilman Ward 3, a runoff election shall be held on November 19th, 2024, between the two candidates receiving the highest number of votes for town councilman Ward 3 in the election which was held on November 5th, 2024. If no candidate for the town councilman Ward 4 obtains a majority of the votes cast for the town councilman Ward 4, a runoff election shall be held on November 19th, 2024 between the two candidates receiving the highest number of votes for the town councilman Ward 4 in the election which was held on November 5th, 2024. Polls for all runoff elections shall be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on November 19th, 2024. Whew, that was a mouthful. All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion, and if you don't mind, just go ahead and strike through the 20204, and that's going to be 2024, and we understand that when a motion is made, that the correct date is August 1st, 2024.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Have a motion on the floor by Council Lady Austin, a second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion?
I have a question. So the Cedar Grove precinct will be voting at Calvary. So
Correct.
we will not be having, on election day, there will not be any polling booths at all for state, national, local at Cedar Grove.
I don't know about state and national. I know the municipal election will be there at Calvary Baptist.
Because
There's only like 5, I think.
I know,
total.
but if we don't have this out there and they have to go vote for state and national offices there, you're making them go to 2 different places to vote.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
that's how it was presented to me. I don't know the logic behind it. I don't know if that was something the county required them to do.
Okay. I was just
Um,
curious. Because I wouldn't want to go to 2 different places to vote.
Is November 5th, that is the general election as well? Go show you how much I'm keeping up with national politics these days.
And Ms. Terry, I'm looking at you as if, can you answer that question? She works with voting.
You can't answer the question. Or no, you don't want to.
No, I probably can't, but it's probably due to, that's for the general election, and I'm at quarter one coming up in June, correct? Probably because
November.
November.
Yeah, we're nonpartisan, so we don't have a primary. The only thing I can think of was, I think there's 5 registered voters, so it's not gonna, and I think the last general election we had, only 2 actually showed up there to vote. So you're paying staff for at least 3 people. All
Right.
the different
Yeah,
places
I don't
around
know
the-
why we have that out there anyway, for such a small amount of people.
I don't know. Maybe we get with the county too and see if it would be possible to allow those small amount of people to cast their national and state ballots there at the Calvary Baptist while they're there as well. I don't know the logistics behind it.
I like add them to their list.
Yeah. It'd suit me if we just did away with the Cedar Grove precinct.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Nobody-
there's really no point. It's just a waste of manpower, really.
Or if we just annexed in the entire Cedar Grove precinct, then we would.
Annex.
We have more
annex
voters
Cheddar.
than 5?
All right, so we've got a motion on the floor and a second. Any other discussion? Here none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And it's unanimous. All right, new business, item number 2 is first reading on the 2024-2025 budget ordinance. This evening, I'm asking y'all to pass this ordinance by name only. If you notice, there's not a budget in your packet. The reason for that is that budget was sent via email just as a draft. And when I say a draft, there's gonna be a lot of work done on that budget between now and then. But we do need to have that in prior to the ensuing fiscal year, which begins on July 1. So some of you have already shared some concerns and questions regarding the budget. Please continue to do that. I expect we'll probably have at least one work session between now and then to go over any final details. But certainly email myself, Michelle, with any kind of questions or concerns regarding budget or things of that nature. Okay. At this time, I'll move to open the floor for open the floor for motions to adopt on first reading the 2024-2025 budget ordinance.
I make a motion.
Have a motion on the floor by Council Lady Austin,
Second.
second by Councilman Cole. Any discussion, further discussion on budget ordinance? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? All right. I did not look at hands. Raymond, did you catch hands? Okay. All right, at this time, I will, make a motion that we, I will move that we go into executive session to discuss a contractual matter with an attorney as well as a personnel matter. Make that the form of a motion.
I move we go into.
I made the motion.
Second, I'll second.
Second, Councilman Alexander. Discussion, call the question. And we'll retire to executive session, and we'll be back whenever we get back. Hopefully it won't be too long. Okay.
I took it that long.
All right, this time, entertain a motion to call us back to order.
So moved.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilman Haygood. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. And we now stand back in regular session. As discussed in our executive session, we discussed the hiring of Brogdon Law Firm in Greenville to represent us on two pending cases, which is Town of Williamston versus O'Connell and Smith, and Town of Williamston versus Pattersville Holdings LLC, Phillips and Thompson. Both those filed in Court of Common Pleas in Anderson, South Carolina. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to enter into a contractual agreement with Brogdon Law Firm to represent us in those cases.
Mayor, prior to making that motion, I would, I'm going to recuse myself from this because I do have a financial and personal conflict of interest in this matter, and I have prepared a written statement pursuant to state law that I'll give to you to give to the clerk when she returns.
Thank you. Rain, can I get you to enter that into the minutes? All right. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to allow me to enter into a contractual agreements to represent the town in those two cases.
So moved.
Have a motion on the floor by Councilman Haygood,
I'll second.
second by Council Lady Austin. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And it's unanimous. All right. Good to the order. I think I've said about all I can say for the evening. Thank y'all for coming out and being here this afternoon on this rainy day. And call if you need me. Anybody else got anything for the good of the order? All right, this time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Council
Second.
Austin has made a motion to adjourn, second by Councilman Alexander. Y'all's names are close together. Tongue twist me. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. And we stand adjourned. Thank you, Rain, for being our scrivener, in addition to your other many duties.
You guys have a good evening.
All right, you too.
See you soon.
Hey, Rocky, I need